Hello everyone, this is the Board Game Lawyer. Today I'm going to do another Marvel Champions playthrough video using the community challenge issued by the Marvel Champions monthly podcast crew. They've given us the villain in the encounter set to use, so the villain that they've selected is Klaw, and the encounter set that we've included in our deck today is the Space Pirates. I'm also going to use Ant-Man Aggression, and I'm going to feature many physical resources in our game today. Hopefully that works out well for me. But anyway, we still have a few things to do before we set up and play the game. Of course, underground distribution brings Defense Network into play right there at the beginning of the game. And it comes into play with 3 threat on it. And then the underground distribution, after that, then it's flipped. And it says, discard cards from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play. Engage with the first player. So we'll start discarding cards from the top of the encounter deck until we get a minion. Honor Among Thieves, Klaw's Vengeance, wow. Advance, Weapons Runner comes into play. Okay, and so Klaw is completely set up, ready to go. All we have left to do is to draw our 6 cards to start Ant-Man's turn. So our first card is Resize. We also have the Wrist Gauntlets. We've got Giant Stomp, Strength, Martial Prowess, and Surprise Attack. Okay, so we have a nice hand to begin our game. I think that the first thing that we're going to do on our turn is we are going to flip to the giant Ant-Man side. Okay, so giant Ant-Man comes into play. When he does so, he does 1 damage to an enemy, so we're going to put 1 damage on the Weapons Runner. And then we are going to play Giant Stomp, spending 3 resources. Or do I want to do anything before that? Let's take a look here and see. Yeah, I think we do. Why don't we? Let's go ahead and after we flip, we're going to do the Surprise Attack. It says after you change form, deal 3 damage to an enemy, 4 damage if you've paid for this card using a fist resource. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 4 damage to Klaw before we do anything else. So Klaw is going to be knocked down to 8 from 12. Then we're going to play the Giant Stomp using the Strength as well as the Wrist Gauntlets to deal 1 damage to the minion, which is the Weapons Runner, and we're going to deal 8 damage to Klaw. So that will actually knock Klaw all the way down to 0, and it removes the Weapons Runner from the game. So we have Weapons Runner removed from the game. First stage of Klaw is defeated. So Klaw is going to flip. And so stage 2 pops out. It says when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Immortal Claw, reveal it, and shuffle the encounter deck. Alright, so we're going to look through our deck here and find the Immortal Claw. Don't see it there. Maybe I just missed it. There's the Immortal Claw. I missed it. So that comes into play. Klaw, shuffling the encounter deck, Klaw comes into play with 18 health. And the Immortal Claw actually adds to it. It says here, Klaw gets plus 10 hit points. When this scheme is defeated, Klaw loses the hit points. So he actually comes into play with 28 hit points. So we have a fully powered Klaw there on the table. He's up to 28 health. We did have 1 card left in our hand, which is Resize. It says change to your other hero form and draw a card. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to flip to our Ant-Man Tiny stage and allows us to draw a card, which is energy. So he says, Puny Pest. response. After you change to this form, remove one threat from a scheme. So we're going to take one threat off of the Immortal Claw. Put 2 back on. Okay. And then Ant-Man is going to exhaust to go ahead and defeat the Immortal Claw. Removing it completely into the discard pile. So, not a bad first turn for Ant-Man. We're going to keep our energy resource in our hand. I believe that's going to end our turn. Nope, we had to remove that 10 health from Klaw. He's now down to 18. We're going to ready Ant-Man, and we're going to draw 4 more cards to get our hand size up to 5. So we have Army of Ants, Wasp, Clobber, and Power of Aggression. So we have a nice hand. Start our next turn. I'll leave my hand right here for now. Then we're going to start Klaw's turn. Klaw is going to add 1 threat to Underground Distribution. Klaw is going to attack Ant-Man. He draws 2 cards in order to do so. So our first one is Armored Guard. Our next one is Boost. If this activation damages you, exhaust your hero. Well, it's definitely going to exhaust us because we have 1 attack, another attack, 2 damage, and we're going to have to exhaust Ant-Man. So Ant-Man is exhausted, and his health goes down to 10. Our encounter card is Sound the Alarm. Each enemy gets +1 attack. Okay, so we'll bring that into play. And it comes into play with 2 threat. All right. So there is our end of Klaw's turn. Now it's the beginning of our turn. Ant-Man is exhausted, but he can do some damage. We're going to go ahead and do 3 damage to an enemy. If this is the first card you've played this round, return this card to your hand. So we're going to spend 2 Power of Aggression to play Clobber, which is going to do 3 damage to Klaw. 1, 2, 3. Takes him down to 15. We will let's do more damage. I think we will. I think we're going to flip Ant-Man over to his giant side. Still exhausted. And that will do 1 more damage to Klaw, so that brings him down to 14. We'll spend 3 resources to bring out the Wasp. So we'll spend Army of Ants and Energy to bring out Wasp. Brings Wasp onto the table. And she does 2 damage if I'm in giant form. So we're going to knock Klaw down 2 more to 12 health. And then she's going to go ahead and do 2 damage to Klaw, which will bring him down to 10. Klaw's down to 10 health. We do have a Clobber left in our hand. Probably not a bad thing to leave in our hand. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So we'll ready Wasp. And we'll ready Ant-Man. And we will draw 3 more cards. So we have Resize, we have Yarnborn, and we have Ant-Man's Helmet. Okay. So 4 cards in our hand. And now we'll begin Klaw's turn. We always begin by putting 1 threat on Underground Distribution. Klaw's going to attack Ant-Man. I think I'm going to take my chances and draw 2 boost cards to see what Klaw does. So he does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage because of Sound the Alarm. And so Ant-Man goes from 10 down to 4 damage. And for my encounter card, we draw Weapons Runner. So he comes into play, and it causes me to have to draw an additional encounter card. So our additional encounter card is Care for Cassie. You may flip to alter ego form, exhaust Scott Lang, remove Care for Cassie from the game. Well, that's probably a better choice than choose and discard 1 card from your hand. You cannot change form until your next turn ends. Let me see what we got in our hand. Let's see if maybe I can live without something in my hand. So Clobber will do 3. Ant-Man will do 3. Wasp can do 2. We're at 10. We don't have enough damage to clear right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip to my Alter Ego form. We'll remove that card from the game. So we're going to flip to Scott Lang, and we're going to exhaust him. But when I flip, I can actually get 1 additional health. And yeah, that's going to be the end of Claw's turn. All right, so we'll start off Ant-Man's turn by playing. Tell you what, let's just go ahead and do 2 damage with Wasp to remove Weapons Runner from the game. We don't want additional attack on the Weapons Runner on my next turn. And I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip to my giant form again, which will do 1 damage to Claw. So that knocks him down to 9. Our first card that we're going to play this turn is Clobber, and we can bring that card back into our hand at the end of the turn. So we'll spend, let's see, Yarnborn and Ant-Man's Helmet to play Clobber. We'll do 3 damage to Claw, which will take him down to 6. He comes back into my hand, and we'll resize. So we'll drop down to Tiny Ant-Man. After I do that, I can remove 1 threat. So we're going to take 1 threat off of the defense network. Okay. And that also allows me to draw a card. So we'll draw a card. Army of Ants. We'll spin the Clobber card to put out Army of Ants onto the table. We'll exhaust Army of Ants to do another damage to Claw. And then we will, I tell you what, let's just do 1 more damage to Claw using Ant-Man. And that will end our turn. Okay. So that will allow me then to draw 5 cards since I'm in Ant-Man Tiny form. So we're going to draw Spider-Man, Combat Training, She-Hulk, Surprise Attack, and Army of Ants. So we have a nice hand if we make it through our next turn. Do the next round with Claw. So Claw is going to begin by again putting 1 threat on Underground Distribution. Claw is going to attack Ant-Man, but Wasp, who I forgot to put 1 damage on her at the end of the last turn. Wasp is going to go ahead and block this attack, and so we're going to draw 2 cards. We're going to draw Advance, and we're going to draw Pirate Lackey. We're going to draw an additional card, another Pirate Lackey, which causes us to draw another card, Honor Among Thieves. So Claw does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage to Wasp, which will remove her from the game to the discard pile. Okay, 1 more encounter card to get through. Let's see what happens. And we have an Armored Guard, of course. Armored Guard's going to come into play. And he comes into play with a tough card. Okay, so this could be good. So we are going to begin our turn as Ant-Man by exhausting Army of Ants to knock the tough card off the Armored Guard. We are going to flip Ant-Man, doing 1 damage. This is just a response. After you change this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. This is not an attack, so I can do 1 damage to Klaw. That brings him down to 3. I have to play Surprised Assault attack after I flip to the Ant-Man form, giant form, to do 3 damage to the Armored Guard. So that removes Armored Guard from the game. And then with my final action of the game, I am going to exhaust Ant-Man to do 3 attack onto Klaw, and that defeats Klaw. So Ant-Man has defeated Klaw in this challenge. Again, this challenge was issued by the Marvel Champions Monthly podcast crew. We thank you for doing that. I'm the Board Game Lawyer, and I hope you can join me again next week for another Marvel Champions playthrough video.